ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the TUI Soccer World Championship here in Cancun, where we bring you a clash of the titans. German power meets the experience and technical excellence of Ukraine in this, our most anticipated game of match day 2. I'm your host, Frankie Rudland, and I'll be guiding you through every kick of the ball very shortly. But first, we will break to hear the two sides' national anthems.
And now, we will hear the national anthem of Germany. Escucharemos respetuosamente el himno nacional de Alemania. For the national anthem of Ukraine, escucharemos respetuosamente el himno nacional de Ucrania.
Here we go then, two sides not just capable of topping Group G, but winning the entire tournament. That's what both came here to do, and you wouldn't bet against either. Officiating this meeting between two European heavyweights is Marek Skera, joined by Simon Gerlich, Adin Hasic and Istok Milosic on VAR. And joining me on commentary duties is Scoop. Scoop, welcome, and tell me, do your excitement levels match mine for this clash?
I think the word you used there is exactly the right one. Heavyweights. Heavyweight in every sense of the word. Heavyweight in terms of their relative rankings, and heavyweight in terms of the style of their play, and heavyweight in terms of their technical skill level. These are two teams that could win the tournament. So, yeah, I am excited by this one.
They certainly are. And heading into this one, we will give you those world rankings. So Germany currently sixth in the world. Ukraine in 10th. Ukraine a side who were semi-finalists at the Euro Cup in Moldova, eventually knocked out by France. Germany, well, they were the first ever Soccer World Cup winners. They haven't made a final since, but the desire is there, the skill is there, and the want is there, certainly, Scoop, isn't it?
They've always started well. Germany in these tournaments, it seems, and perhaps if there's a criticism of them, is that they've steamrolled teams in the group and then perhaps run out of puff as the tournament has progressed. So it'll be interesting because they won't be steamrolling Ukraine, that's for certain. And Ukraine have got some very, very good players, and one of them I'd draw your attention to is Anton Ross. In the Euro Cup back in June, in the opening match, he scored after 30 seconds.
Certainly give us a spicy opening should he do the same here. Another man to watch out for is Lucas Betts in goal for Germany. If you tuned into the Soccer World Cup last year in Oman, you would have seen Germany's keeper score 2 absolute peaches from inside his own half. Described it as a once-in-a-lifetime moment. I imagine he'd be keen to do the same today, given the opportunity. So it'll be Germany who get us underway. Looking from left to right. Group G action. Just seconds away. Off we go with heights. There's that man, Lucas Betts.
You mentioned him in the build-up there. We spoke to him a couple of days ago and said how much we fondly remembered his brace of goals against Georgia. And we were under the impression he did it every week, but he said no, it's a once-in-a-lifetime moment for him.
He certainly looked a natural scoop, didn't he?
Yeah.
To do it about 5 minutes apart.
I think he was pleased we mentioned it.
I'd be surprised if he's bought a beer for himself in Germany since. And here he is sporting that red headband. Exchanging passes with Elias Anan, who alongside Benedict Chandra was Germany's chief goal threats in Oman last year. Side full of skillful players.
I think we should pay tribute to our colleagues Rob and Dan. I think they've had a hot shift this afternoon as the sun goes behind the buildings away to our right. Even as we arrived a few moments ago at 5 o'clock, it was very hot and humid.
And I'm sure the players will appreciate the sun slowly disappearing as well. Energy sapping conditions here in Cancun as Heights looks for Elias Anan at the far post. Just can't find him. Very cultured left boot does Tobias Heights, a former professional footballer in the 11-a-side game. Started his career at Bayern Leverkusen. Forced to retire through injury, but back to his physical peak now. And Soccer has benefited from having him. That's good play to skip down the right-hand side from Anton Ross. Just snuffed out by Germany. I think we can expect a bit of a chess match at the start of this encounter.
Two teams that have graced the final. Only one of them's won it though. We don't often get games like this so early in the tournament. As you were saying yesterday, there is jeopardy in this tournament right from the start.
There certainly is. Rather than the 4 games per group that were played last year in Oman, just the 3. So if you have designs on topping the group, which on paper might get you a more favourable run to the final, which is where both teams want to be, squeezing every last point out of these 3 games will be crucial. As Chandra drops deep to receive off Lucas Betts. Ukraine studious in their press. The first time Betts is allowed to really stride out of his area. He's forced back to Heights, who looks to loft one, but it will drift all the way through. Puzlavsky comfortable to let that one roll. Here's Ross. Back to Puzlavsky. Ross shaping up his man. Cuts onto that left foot, but he's shepherded all the way. He's found a way through, and perhaps a chance for a shot. Height snaps into the challenge, and Germany can counter. Heights sends Anan slightly further towards that byline than he wanted to be, and he just can't eat up the yards quick enough. But just look how quickly Germany look to break when they have men over.
We saw there the outlet provided by Ross for the Ukraine side. On the right-hand side, cutting in onto his left foot.
Looks a skillful operator, doesn't it? And a slip just allows Krull, the skipper, to drive one low towards Germany's area, but it's dealt with on this occasion. Here he is again, Dennis Krull, standing over a kick-in, but he leaves it. And a slightly baggy touch lets him down. Early sparring then. We should say, Scoop, that despite not making it to the final last year, Germany with a joint second top scorers alongside Croatia. So for the time they were in the tournament, they knew where the back of the net was.
They certainly did, but it's a different skill very, very rarely, and I can hardly think of any examples, do teams imperiously march through to finals. The teams that win tournaments tend to start and build momentum as it goes.
And the Kazakhs are certainly good at that. Of course, we'll see them later as they take on France in the second of two huge clashes. But for now, our focus is on this one as Heitz strides into Ukrainian territory, and Matidji, chance to shoot, just dummies, just delays. And Krull can steal the ball away and charge down the right-hand touchline. Got a man free at the back post, but a melee of deflections, the last of which comes off Serhi. Maxi Metz sees it behind for a German goal kick. It's the sixth edition of the World Cup that both these sides have featured in. Plenty of tournament experience. And here's an opening for Ukraine. Claiming that was a slide tackle from Heitz. He tossed himself in front of the ball. Will be a Ukrainian corner. Matidji it was who deflected it behind. Bet's not willing to pass the ball. So Evgen Serhi wants him to come and get it, and that he's done. Placed it on the turf. Chance for a strike. Not the sweetest connection from Smolovic. We should also mention, Scoop, that although the sun is slowly starting to set here in Cancun, it is still blistering. And of course, both these sides don't come from naturally hot countries.
It's the humidity that's also a factor as well. I mean, we are very, very hot here up in the stand. And we've got a bit of breeze. Goodness knows what it's like down on the pitch. But perhaps that will be reflected in the pace of the game. More of a chess match.
You'd imagine those players would be extremely wary of putting a foot out of place because they know that quality on either side that could punish them. Matidji, that's Betts. Matidji wants the ball again on the halfway line and he'll get it. He'll cut inside. Laid to the back post, chance for Germany. It's a strong foot to deny them. Kozlavski, first real opening of the match. And it falls to Germany. Konstantin Fries might be wishing he drew a little bit more effort from the Ukrainian keeper. Zanan has another chance to pull the trigger. Just gets his footing wrong and it's comfortably out for the Ukraine goal kick. Or a kick in, I should say. As they ring the changes. Kozlavski. Plenty of time to march himself to the halfway line. Might think about a shot. Will think about a shot. And it bobbles all the way through. We talked about the goal-scoring ability of Germany's Lucas Betts, but what we didn't highlight was the goal-scoring ability of Ukraine's Alexander Kozlavski. It wasn't the sweetest of efforts, but it bobbles its way through Germany's defences and into the back of the net, and Ukraine draw first blood.
I think Betts was bamboozled there by the low trajectory of the shot. and it took a crucial bounce just in front of him and snuck into the corner of the net.
Crept through a sea of bodies, didn't it?
So he's partially sighted, but still, you'd expect the keeper to save those. First blood, Ukraine.
Germany looking for an instant response. Annan on the halfway line. Ukraine not wanting to give them a second on the ball. Fierce in their press. Betts now. That's a clever ball. It's laid back to Annan. He will shoot. Just leant back as he pulled the trigger, and it's comfortably over the bar.
Great start for Ukraine, just 9 minutes in. Really, really good start for them. That will really give them confidence. What we don't see, of course, is the build-up to these games. These players have been here for quite a few days already, waiting to get back into the action, thinking about their first game. And it says a lot about the character, how you come back from these things. Can Germany do it?
Still got a good half an hour of soccer to play, plenty of time for them to do so, and they'll look to do so here through Annan. Snuffed out again, and Ukraine can break. Men over at the back post, but it's an important interception from Dominic Amont, who charged down Lustapad as he broke away on the left-hand side. Kick in for Ukraine. Hammered into the penalty area once more. Blocked once more by a German leg. Same result. This time Germany clear. Just noticed, Scoop, that Ukraine are making a host of changes, almost their entire outfield team every 5 minutes or so, which is a tactic you see from Kazakhstan quite often, keeping fresh legs and fresh minds on the pitch, never allowing the players to get tired.
Double-edged sword, though, isn't it? Sometimes you can lose your momentum through that. Other times, you know, it's been profitable for teams, most notably Kazakhstan.
First moment of sloppiness we've seen there from Ukraine as they...
How can they make sure that everyone knows their jobs when players are coming off and coming on with such regularity?
Germany kick in, cleared, and have another opportunity. Near enough an identical position. The Ukraine player encroached on the pitch. Back to Betts, he's charged down. Could be a chance for a strike here. There is a strike. And it drops just over the crossbar. Dennis Krull it was who tried the first time effort. Betts wasn't at home. He got caught out. Wasn't a million miles off. And again, Scoop, I just have to highlight that press from Ukraine. It's ferocious, isn't it? Getting right into Germany's faces.
Can they keep it up, though?
Yilmaz.
Perfect example there, look.
Ibrahim Yilmaz, who scored 10 in 11 games in the Icon League, earning himself a call-up. Can he apply that fine form this to the Soccer World Championship? Annan, they'll need some of his magic to pull themselves back into this. Heights fires straight through into the paws as Pozlavsky, and Ukraine can break. Krull goes down in agony. Heights is protesting his innocence. Tensions just starting to rise. Heights will now come over and apologise. He's a big man, is Tobias Heights. I'm not sure I'd like to be on the end of a boot to the thigh from him.
Using up valuable seconds, of course, enabling Ukraine to get a bit of a breather.
It's going to be Evgen Syrie to take this free kick. It's in a good position. And from the way he's shaped, he looks set to launch one towards Lucas Betts' goal. Looking for that far post. And Smolovic wasn't a million miles away from it. It's the right idea. Must have been a nick on the way through. Because Ukraine have a kick in, which Syria is going to take again. In fact, it's a corner. Played quickly. Chance on the swivel for Dennis Krul. Opportunity starting to come for Ukraine. You can't say the same for Germany at the moment, as Betts takes a risk, plays across the face of his goal, but manages to find heights. He'll trot himself towards the halfway line. Into Mitigi. Yilmaz looks to return the favour. Germany kick in. The German engine that's so efficient normally, so destructive, hasn't quite clicked into gear yet. It's Ukraine who have done the better earlier work, and of course they find themselves a goal up. It's a silly foul given away there by Dominic Amon, who wasn't even in possession. Pulled a man off the ball.
Wholesale changes again. Ferocious work ethic from the Ukrainians. Can they hold out 4.5 minutes or so till half time to preserve that advantage?
And it'll be a well-earned rest when it comes, because Ukraine have stuck to their task excellently so far in this first half. It's the goal scorer, also Ukraine's keeper, Sviatoslav Markanch. Chip to the far post. Should say rather, it's Alexander Pozlavsky.
Worth mentioning that the other teams in this group are Spain and Colombia, who we saw last night. Things didn't go to the form book there.
Certainly didn't. Colombia 2-1 win. We saw another keeper who liked to shoot in Martinez, didn't we, in that game?
Man-mountain of a keeper.
Betts to heights. You know he can hit them. Instead picks out Yilmaz, who spins and scuffs one straight behind. Puts his hand to his head in frustration. And it has been a frustrating afternoon for Germany so far. Three minutes or so left of the half. Ukraine look to burst forward. Hibalo just crowded out. Chip forward over the head of Mitigi. Kuzmak doing some good defending. Mitigi, chance at the back post now, cut across the face of goal, cleared off the line. Referee says it doesn't cross.
What a clearance from Murti Melnichuk. What a piece of defending. Right under his own crossbar. For once that move down that far flank paid off for Germany. That's been the attacking outlet they've pinpointed. Got to the byline, drew it back, and they thought they'd scored. But Melnichuk with a brilliant piece of defending.
It's Mitigi who did the good work. And as you say, it was an acrobatic clearance from underneath his own crossbar. Simon Gerlich was straight away waving to his fellow official to say it did not cross the line. But really, Germany's first proper sighter. And we're going to see another strike from the keeper. Drops to Kuzmak. And that one is high, wide, not very handsome, and into one of the VIP zones.
And into the Gulf of Mexico.
Minute and a half left. Ukraine, one goal to the good. Germany almost equalising just moments ago. But for the heroics of Yevgeny Melnichuk. Mitigi. Arguably been Germany's brightest spark so far. Heights.
Great attention to detail from the Ukrainians.
Here's Matidji again, looking to work space again. Shot flies over the bar, but finally, Germany is starting to knock the door.
And a raft of substitutions from the blue shirts to try and hold out for the remaining 60 seconds or so till half-time.
Siri to the skipper, Dennis Krul. Smolovik. Asking for an option. He finds himself penned deep inside his own half. Siri chips down the left-hand touchline, and it will be Krul to bring it down. Can he get there to work a shot? Just as his pocket picked, as does Matidji. No, he doesn't. He comes away with it. Great endeavour from Matidji. A little bit scrappy. And then Krul comes in to win the free kick, and you would imagine that would see us through to half-time. And so it does. Half-time whistle blows. Ukraine, 1 goal to the good, and in the ascendancy in this mammoth encounter in Group G. An unlikely goal scorer in Alexander Pozlavsky, who bobbled one straight through the heart of the Germany back line and past Lucas Betts.
Well, last year it was Lucas Betts who got all the headlines, scoring the goals. This time he's been on the receiving end. He's let one in from his opposite number. Should have saved it. It was a bobbler. Had power, but not that much power, you would have thought. But that was the breakthrough. And then the Ukrainians have worked like Trojans to preserve that advantage. Really impressive work ethic from them. They've made regular substitutions to try and preserve their energy. Even with a minute to go to half-time, they made wholesale changes, and they've done well, and the Germans have been frustrated.
Well, as you say, those substitutions so important when the game plan is clearly to hunt in packs, not to let Germany play out from the back. Because at last year's World Cup, Scoop, that's when Germany looked the most deadly, when they had Betts advancing. They worked the ball to Tobias Heights, who, as Germany's chief sweeper, does ever so well to charge up that left-hand touchline and hammer those balls to the far post. They've cut off that supply line through their press, which has meant some tired legs, but at the minute, they're managing it ever so well with those 4 substitutions every few minutes or so, running like clockwork. If you're in the Germany coaching staff in a minute, what would you be saying to that side, Scoop?
I'm not sure actually, but keep going. You keep at it. They're going to tire. You know, they can't keep up that tactic forever, you would think. Keep doing what you're good at. We've steamrolled teams before. We can do it again. There's plenty of time to go, but be patient and don't panic.
A stat that feels pertinent, given where we are in the game and the scoreline, is these two sides have only played each other twice. Once at the 22 World Cup and once at the 24 Euro Cup. And Germany have won both times.
Well, those runs don't go on forever, do they?
They don't go on forever.
And just look at the huddle from the Ukrainians. We don't see on the picture, but really animated stuff.
A nation.
They're fired up all right, Ukraine.
A nation and a side in total unity, and they will need that if they're to safeguard this lead through the remaining 20 minutes.
The sun has just gone down behind the buildings away to our right, and that has brought some immediate cool, and that will help Ukraine.
Almost an instant refreshing breeze, isn't it?
Instantaneous.
We're just waiting for a ball, and then we'll get this second half underway. Both teams raring to go. Ukraine eager to protect what they've got, and Germany eager to overturn it. Still we wait for the officials who are running on their time. Great cluster, Ukraine fans in the stands. They've travelled to support their side. And so far they would have liked what they've seen. Here we go then. It'll be Melnishuk who'll get us back underway. Buzlavsky, the ball at his feet. I'd imagine, like Lucas Betts did against Georgia last year, he'll be thinking to himself, could I do it again? This time he chips a neat pass. And it's off the crossbar. It was Anton Ross who took it down ever so well, chopped inside onto that left foot, and he's rattled the frame of Lucas Betts' goal. You highlighted him before the match. It's another flash of just how technical player he is.
Young player, very, very skillful.
Anand, chance to strike, has to be beaten away by Buzlavsky. Germany with a bit more zip about them now. Fast start from both teams. Anton Ross rattling the crossbar, and then Anand stinging the palms of the goalkeeper. More of this, please. Buzlavsky. Germany happy to sit off and let him have it. He will shoot. Blocked away this time by Ilias Anand, doing his defensive duties.
I wonder if it's a conscious choice on his behalf to shoot low. Because normally you see the keepers aiming for the top corners when they do shoot.
Well, I think with Soccer Scoop, you make a good point, because if you aim low and you fire into a crowd of bodies, there's every single chance that someone might divert it on its way through. And even though there was no touch for the opener, it just unsights the keeper, doesn't it?
It does. Same principle applies, of course, to crosses. Getting to the dead ball line, pinging one in, anything can happen.
Well, how many goals have we seen come from balls just being drilled towards that back post? Someone Johnny on the spot to tap it in. Interestingly, Ukraine are hot to press Lucas Betts when he comes out of his goal, but Buzlavsky is afforded a little bit more time, and that wasn't one of his finer distributions.
Yeah, just to show that Ukraine have done their homework, they're pressing him, Lucas Betts, but trying to force him onto his left foot, not his shooting one.
And here he is. Goka. Ukraine just snapped back into that shape, and Goka has got a tiny bit of space here. Quickly charged down, as is Anand. Here's Ross. So almost doubled Ukraine's lead, and he's hacked down there by two German players who aren't happy with the decision. But they're going to have to stomach it, because it will be a Ukraine free kick. Anton Ross just rubs off that dead leg and makes way for Syrie. And of course, this tactic of making multiple substitutions shows that Ukraine have confidence in their entire squad. And there's a chance. Krebenyuk found himself free inside Germany's area. Just tried to flick it towards the goal with his right foot, but couldn't get the angle. Another big chance.
Should have done better. Should have got it on target at least. Real opportunity, and it's an opportunity that has been spurned.
You question whether he could have used his left foot there rather than trying to steer it round with the outside of the right. Syrie will fire into the area, flashes across the face of goal, evades everyone. I think Dennis Krull had made a neat run to get himself free. Couldn't be picked out. I'm not sure you would have wanted to get in the way of that one. It was travelling at some speed. Kick in for Germany.
It's amazing, isn't it? The sun's gone down and the respite from the heat is instantaneous.
Chipped over towards Heights. He'll do well to deal with that one. Can't rise high enough. Uncharacteristically wasteful from Germany.
Plenty of time, though.
Plenty of time. Syrie. Back to Pozlavsky. Lofts long down the line. Heights does well to use that considerable frame to block out even Hrebenyuk. Betts under pressure. Cool as you like to find Heights. He can stretch his legs. Slides into a challenge. Prods the ball all the way through for a goal kick, and we've got a man down on the turf.
Busy for the referees.
It was always going to be a game that needed close attention, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I wonder if why that's the tournament director Marex Kera is refereeing this one.
Got the best men on the job.
Yeah.
Syrie.
I wonder if he says, I'm going to take care of this one, lads. We'll ask him.
Well, if you draw up the fixtures, you can take the pick of the bunch. And I, for one, would certainly put myself at the front of the queue to watch these two battle it out.
He does exude authority, Marex, doesn't he? The players do respect him.
He's a respected figure in the soccer circuit, and he's just giving Betts a bit of a talking to.
Not so much music in this game.
Full focus on what's going on in front of us as Anand flicks one round the corner. It was smart, but not smart enough to trick the Ukraine defence. Just see the frustrations there from Germany as they want the ball back immediately from the crowd. And this is why, so Heights can play it quickly to Anand, who cuts onto the left foot, fires into a sea of bodies. Ukraine can smuggle away. Hat clear, straight back to Betts.
Revealing that, increasing anxiety from the Germans. Still a long way to go. Only 7 minutes into the second half. Plenty of time.
Only 7 minutes into the second half, but that's Ukraine's second wave of substitutions. Germany being more conservative with what's at their disposal on the bench. Pozlavsky. This time comes short to Ross. Kibalo shapes up his man, goes round him, cuts into the box. Shot comes in, hits the post, and there's the second. Ukraine jubilant, Germany deflated. And it's Serhii Hibalo who shinned it onto the post, got lucky with the rebound, and had the simplest of tasks to tuck into the back of the German net to double Ukraine's lead. They're in dreamland.
Germany at 6s and 7s. Any one of 3 players could have put the ball into the back of the net, but it was Hibalo who finally poked it over the line. And it's a real shock now.
Fine work from Kuzmak on that right-hand side to craft a chance, and here they come again, Ukraine.
They've got the early breakthrough, Ukraine. They've held out, they've defended well, they've worked really hard. They withstood German pressure, and then at a crucial time, 8 minutes into the second half, they've got a second. Is that an insurmountable barrier for the Germans?
Germany may be able to break here. They've got men over. It's Heights looking to cut one back. But Anton Ross, dedicated as ever, gets himself in the way and even manages to deflect the ball back off the German sweeper to win a kick-in. And if 1-0 looked like a hill to climb, it's even steeper now for Germany.
We've seen it before, though, in soccer.
We have seen it before. These matches can shift very quickly. Ross again letting fly with that left foot. Out for a corner kick. Here come those changes again.
Seem very, very well organised, Ukraine, in terms of their substitutions.
Chip to the back post, strike comes in. Serye it was, who attempted the audacious volley. Would have taken some doing to divert it to the back of the net from there. Betts. Pressed again. Mitigi. And desperate Germany would be to see him sprinkle some stardust on this game. Hasn't been the polished performance we've come to expect from Germany. Amon looks to curl one towards that top corner, just getting his angles wrong.
I think it's been the quality of the performance from Ukraine.
It has. They've not been given a chance, Germany, have they? Every time they look up, there's a blue shirt. Flicked goalwards. Maximets it was, nodding that long ball, comfortably wide in the end. But once again finding space in Germany's penalty area. Ten to play. Ukraine 2 goals to the good. Pozlavsky with the first, and then Serhii Hibalo. And Betts will strike it. Blocks away. Ukraine can break with Serhii. Hrebenyuk goes down under the challenge of Mitigi, bundled over. Again, a sign of some frustration there from the Germans.
Hrebenyuk knew what he was doing there.
Just waited for the contact, didn't he?
Waited for the foul.
Could sense it would coming. He felt the ground beating behind him. It'll be Serhii with the opportunity to strike, and you'd imagine he's just going to hammer it goalwards.
There's a man free, though, just on the edge of the area.
Maximets, who's looking to cause some trouble at the back post. Cleared by Germany. Ilyas Anan looking to latch onto it. He's bundled his man into the advertising boards. Free kick Ukraine, and there certainly are some signs that the Germans are starting to lash out, get a little bit frustrated. They've not been given the sniff this afternoon. Ukraine superior in every department thus far.
And the group not going according to the form book.
Heights bundles through the back of Hrebenyuk, and it's another silly foul, and he's going to get himself a talking to here, because that one was quite clearly no attempt to play the ball. And if Germany are to dig themselves out of this hole, they're going to have to keep their heads, because every single time they give away a foul, it eats into what's left of the game.
Every time a player goes down.
It's another 30 seconds, isn't it?
They make the most of it.
Free kick for Ukraine, just on the edge of the centre circle. Serhii to the back post. There's Krull. Well blocked. Chance not completely gone. Strike comes in, and there's the third. Ivan Hrebenyuk puts the gloss on a stunning performance from Ukraine. They've been well worth it, and they're sending a strong message to not just the rest of Group G, but to the rest of the tournament.
Absolutely sensational. Good finish, but Germany were well and truly opened up there. And with 6 minutes to go, that looks as if it has sealed the win for Ukraine. And you'd have to say, based upon what we were seeing, you'd bank upon Ukraine to get more.
There's almost a goal back there for Germany. It was Jakub Göke who's charging in at the back post. Got a foot to it, but no real direction. They've just been punch perfect, Ukraine, haven't they, Scoop? Everything they've done, from the press to the incision of their passing. Chance here, half a chance for Elias Anand. Just couldn't flick his foot round it. It's the story of the game for Germany. You felt this one could go either way, but perhaps what you wouldn't have expected is such domination from either side. At least the Ukrainians, who sit 4 places below Germany in the world rankings. On the evidence of today, they're perhaps rankings that need to be refreshed. Ross smashes one.
You said at the start that Germany have always been high up in the rankings, but they haven't won this tournament for a long time. This is the 6th edition of the tournament, and they haven't won it this decade so far.
Not since the very first edition. It drops to Hibalo, who's already got a goal to his name. Wants another one. Germany say no on this occasion, shut the door in his face. Launched forward by Kozlowski. Straight through for a German kick-in. Less than 5 minutes for them to get what you feel might even just be a consolation goal at this point. I'll be mightily disappointed with this opening. And of course, if they have designs on topping the group, they now have to rely on Ukraine slipping up elsewhere. Which, based off this performance, you might say was unlikely, but soccer does surprise you. Certainly it surprised us today. Betts. Gokher.
You see it so often in soccer that one side takes the lead unexpectedly, holds on, hangs on sometimes,
And then with a succession of shots.
and then get further goals once the opposition have punched themselves out.
Well, once you get that lead, the spaces start to open, don't they? As teams find themselves having to commit more men forward. Ukraine have just been regimented in everything they've done. Betts opens up for the shot, does hit the target. And Kozlowski looks to lob him as he's vacant from his net, but didn't get the technique quite right. Betts didn't get the technique quite right on that. It gets away with it. Takes another big risk there. Benedict Chandra. Ukraine just slamming the door in Germany's faces at every turn. Like watching a boa constrictor just squeeze the life out of its prey.
Nice analogy, yeah, that's exactly what it has been.
Changes aplenty again for both sides this time. The final roll of the dice for Germany. And a final refresh for Ukraine as they look to see out this 3-0 victory in their opening game of Group G.
You can see what it means to the Germans. They brought a large party, got here early.
Krull looks to catch Betts out. He's expecting him to go towards the far post, but he's looked to bend it in and near, and it drew a save from the German stopper. Under 2 minutes left. Can Ukraine protect that clean sheet that they so want? Betts cuts the pitch in half. Chance for a strike. There is a strike. And Konstantin Fries takes a nick, and it'll be a Germany corner. Mitigi to take. Something of a train forming here for Germany. They do go short. Mitigi looks to flash one again. Angles are wrong.
Minute to go. What a performance from Ukraine. A real upset here in the 2025 to a Soccer World Championship in Cancun, Mexico.
Some may have predicted the result, but what they wouldn't have predicted perhaps is the scoreline. Maxi Metz just couldn't latch onto that long ball. He's back with Betts. Final knockings now. Betts to Yilmaz, just slips, and he's got his pocket picked by Krull. Could Ukraine add a fourth? They want to. Ball bobbling around. And Germany get awarded the free kick. Jakob Gucker who was fouled. Just seconds remaining now. That concentration, that work rate from Ukraine. Perfect all game long. Just have to stay switched on for these final moments to preserve what would be a flawless opening match performance. Betts chips long, looking for Matidji. Smolovic gets his head in the way.
It'd be interesting to see the reactions of the two teams on the final whistle.
You'd think it'd be jubilation from Ukraine.
How jubilant, though.
Sure, they realise the gravity of what they have surely achieved here in Cancun on match day 2. Not many teams put 3 past Germany, especially with no reply. Betts. And there is the final whistle. It's Ukraine's day. It took them 47 hours to travel to this World Cup via plane, train, car, you name it. But they've arrived in some style and announced themselves here to the rest of the tournament, firing a warning that they're not to be messed with. They are not to be underestimated. A domineering performance all the way through, kicked off by a goal from Alexander Poslavsky, their keeper. And the gloss was put on it by Hibalo and Hrebenyuk to complete what has been a stunning afternoon's work from the Ukrainian scoop.
Absolutely outstanding from Ukraine. Made an early breakthrough, just took them 9 minutes to make that breakthrough. Low trajectory to the shot from Poslavsky. Betts will feel he should have done better. It beat the German keeper. They worked like Trojans to maintain that advantage. And then, as the Germans seemed to punch themselves out, they added further goals through Hibalo on 28. That really sealing the 3 points, and then it added some icing on the top through Hrebenyuk on 34. And you can see opposite just